All right, here we go. Vlad TV would like to welcome Michael Franzese, the only high-ranking official of a major crime family to actually walk away without protective custody, without witness protection, and actually survive. Is that an accurate, description?
I would think so. To walk away publicly, as I have done over the past several years, yes.
So, your background is actually in the Colombo crime family.
Correct.
So let's go ahead and start in the beginning. When did the Colombo crime family actually launch and start?
Well, prior to it being the Colombo family, it was the Profaci family. And Joe Profaci was the original boss of that family. And it all occurred when Lucky Luciano broke up everything into, several different families, formed the commission, so on and so forth. So we're looking back to the, 40s, around there, when it really came into existence.
Okay, and there are 5 major crime families.
5 major families in New York. There are actually 9 throughout the country.
Oh, okay. So 5 in New York, 9 nationwide.
Correct.
And the Colombo was like the youngest in New York?
It could be. Colombo and Bonanno families were kind of the smaller of the families, I would say. My boss at the time used to like to say, we like quality, not quantity, in the amount of guys that we bring into the family. So.
Okay. So Joseph Colombo, I guess he served from like 63 to 71.
Correct.
Okay, and then the family was named after him at that point?
Yes.
During this time, how big was the Colombo crime family? Like how many members?
We had about 115 made members at the time, men that actually took the oath. And we had a lot of associates, obviously, guys that were around the life but didn't actually take the oath. They weren't made members, and they're known as associates. We had hundreds of them at the time.
Okay, were the associates considered soldiers or no?
No. Associates. When you come into the life and you take the oath, you come in as the position of a soldier. That's when you're a made man at that point.
Got it. Okay. And I guess during that time, there was a bunch of major wars that were happening in the Colombo family.
Yeah, back at that time, just prior to Joe Colombo becoming boss, we had the Gallo-Profaci War, when the Gallo brothers, who were part of the family, kind of revolted, and there was a war going on at that time. Colombo family, we've had our share of wars, during our existence. So that was, I was alive through that one, so it's one that I remember.
Okay, and what year was that around?
It was in the 50s into the 60s, yeah.
Okay, so we get into the 60s, Colombo takes over, and there's another war at that point?
Not really. They called it the Gallo-Colombo War also, but it was kind of like a spillover, because I think at the time the Gallos felt that they should be in control of the family, and so there was an internal war at that time over that, and it was eventually resolved.
Okay, and during these wars, basically guys are getting killed on both sides?
Yes.
Okay. How bad were these murders getting at one point? Like how many people were getting killed on a monthly basis?
Well, again, this was before my time actually as being involved in the life, but my dad was a prominent figure at the time.
Right.
And, quite a few went down during the Gallo-Profaci War or Gallo-Colombo War. I don't know the exact number at the time, but I do remember some incidents with my dad since he was very active during that time. And I know that we hadn't seen him for a while. He was away because, he was, kind of undercover at that time. And quite a few guys were killed, I remember. It was a tough war.
Okay. So your grandfather was an associate, but not actually a made man.
That's correct, yes.
But then your father became a made man.
Yes.
And how did he end up joining that the whole family?
My father grew up in Brooklyn, and he was a tough kid, good kid, and he just caught the eye of, some of the older guys, some of the guys that were made at the time, and he started to hang with them. And, the way he tells me, my grandfather actually didn't want him to become part of the life, even though my grandfather was very well respected in our neighborhood in Greenpoint. But he never wanted to be involved, although he could have. He liked being, on the outside. And kind of cautioned my father to get involved because he said, once you do, your life is really not your own. But my dad had it in him, and he ended up getting involved in the 30s, actually. He was young when he got inducted.
Okay, and he actually moved his way up to an underboss.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so describe the structure, because at the top you have the boss.
Right.
And then you have the underboss. And then the capo?
Yeah, you have a boss, an underboss, a capo regime or captain, and a soldier.
Okay.
And those are the 4 positions. There is a position called consigliere, and he's kind of appointed by the boss as his advisor. Actually, the position really is, he is a liaison between the men and the boss. Like if you have a gripe, you know, about something that's going on in a family, you go to the consigliere, he's supposed to straighten it out with the boss. The only problem with that is that if you have a gripe with the boss and you go to the consigliere and he brings it to the boss, you're probably going to get killed. So you never gripe about the boss. It's not smart in that life.
Okay, so your dad actually moved up from a soldier to a capo
Yes.
to an underboss.
Correct.
Is there a reason why he never became a boss?
He went to prison. Yeah, if I believe until today that if my father were on the street and didn't get into the problems that he had, he would have been the boss at one point.